in Midtown Manhattan. Well, as you know, ex-Trump attorney Michael Cohen, well, he was back on the stand testifying in former President Trump's hush money trial. This was following several hours of questioning from prosecutors. He prepared to face Trump's defense, and as you know, he was cross-examined today by Todd Blanche, Trump's defense attorney. Well, Fox's Kaylee Schuyler was there for all of it. She joins us outside the courtroom in Lower Manhattan with the latest. Now, Kaylee, if some of our viewers need to get up to speed about some of these highlights today, what do they need to know?
Hey, Andrew. Well, Cohen admitted in court today that he would like to see Trump convicted in this trial. He gave a very lengthy and descriptive testimony about how he was reimbursed for paying off Stormy Daniels because Stormy says she had an affair with the former president. Cohen says he sent invoices for a legal retainer, and it was repaid in installments of $35,000 with checks signed by Trump. But Cohen told the court the money wasn't for legal services. It was to reimburse him for the hush money payment, but Trump says it was a legal expense. Then things got heated when the defense started questioning Cohen's credibility in cross-examination this afternoon. They focused on derogatory comments he made about Trump on social media, and Cohen saying in court he repeatedly lied and even went to prison for Trump. Now, also happening today, a New York appeals court denied Trump's appeal of the gag order imposed by Judge Juan Merchan. The gag order prevents Trump from making public comments about some people involved in the trial. Trump's lawyers will now have another opportunity to appeal that ruling. Now, today, Speaker Mike Johnson, among many Republican leaders, joining Trump in the courtroom today to show support for the former president. And Johnson saying outside court, this trial is trying to influence the 2024 election.
The facts here are very important. Facts are always important in a trial, or at least they're supposed to be. The president's actions in this matter were previously reviewed, and no charges were filed. Why is that? Because there's no crime here.
Prosecutors said today in court that Cohen will now be their last witness, so they're hoping to rest their case when court ends around 4 o'clock on Thursday. Andrew.
All right, Kaylee, any idea who the defense might call when the prosecution rests?
So right now, all the defense has said is that they do have one witness that they would like to take the stand. But right now, it's up in the air whether Trump is actually going to testify in this trial. So right now, we know of one witness. So it seems like things are moving a little bit quicker than expected. And things could, potentially even wrap up as early as next week.
All right, Kaylee Schuyler there live for us in New York. Kaylee, thanks so much. Talk soon.
Thank you.
All right, in the meantime here, we do want to, like we promised, bring yet again in for more analysis on day 17 as we dive into the cross-examination of Michael Cohen. That's, of course, our friend legal analyst Nima Rahmani, who joins me. Nima, good to see you here. I know you've been following this so closely with us here on Live Now, but we were preparing for this yesterday at this time, the cross-examination of Michael Cohen, the prosecution's star witness. How do you think Trump's defense attorney, Todd Blanche, did? What was his demeanor? What was his approach? And was it effective?
I thought Blanche did a good job, but frankly, I think we all expected Cohen to be much more belligerent, defensive, obnoxious. And he's really done a good job of maintaining his composure, both during direct and now during cross. This is a very different Michael Cohen. And Todd Blanche's strategy, the defense attorney, was interesting. I thought that maybe he would focus on the lies, but the prosecution did a good job of getting all that out during direct, taking some of the sting out of the defense's cross-examination. So the defense started by going towards the bias, talking about Cohen's social media posts, his TikToks, even about the defense attorneys themselves, to see if they can get under Cohen's skin. And so far, they haven't been effective.
You know, and Nima, I wanted to ask, too, because a lot was made today by Todd Blanche, diving into, media appearances, podcast appearances, social media posts. Do they think Cohen's talking too much about the case? And will that be prejudicial, do you think, to the jury? Can they establish that, or have they already done so today?
I think this goes more towards bias. Obviously, the prosecution doesn't want Cohen talking about the case, and there was some testimony to that effect. To the extent that the jurors don't hear about it, it's not prejudicial. It's not going to affect the case. Now, of course, if the defense decides to bring it in, which they're choosing to do so, that's on them. But the prosecution didn't elicit any of the social media testimony during their case in chief, during direct examination. So I don't think there's going to be grounds for a mistrial or anything like that. Of course, we expect jurors to follow the rules, and they're supposed to decide the case solely on the facts and evidence in the case and not be watching LiveNOW, Fox, or any other traditional or social media. So hopefully they're doing their job and listening to the judge, and the defense is only getting in what they want to get in.
So is it somewhat immaterial, even if Todd Blanche establishes that, you know, Michael Cohen wants Donald Trump convicted in this or to be held accountable in Cohen's words on the witness stand? Is that immaterial to a jury, or would that sway a jury one way or the other here? Is that what Todd Blanche was trying to do, though, with that line of inquiry?
I think it is material. I mean, there's no question that Cohen's credibility is shot, and that he has bias, and he's admitted the bias. I thought what the issue may be, though, is that Cohen would come across as completely unlikable. And a lot of cases come down to both likability and credibility. And Cohen, of course, not a credible witness for all the reasons that we've discussed, but I expected him to be completely unlikable. If you listen to folks like David Pecker and Keith Davidson who have testified already about how obnoxious and a bully and all the things Cohen was doing, I thought he would be completely unhinged, but he's really tried to maintain that composure today. So, I mean, I agree that the defense has done a good job poking holes in his story, showing this clear bias. I mean, he admitted today that, sure, he wants Trump to be convicted and go to prison, but at least he was calm and cool, and he didn't go off the rails today like I thought may be possible.
So does that mean the testimony is being perceived as not as damning because Michael Cohen, you know, kept it in check, so to speak? I mean, does that disadvantage the defense that they couldn't get Michael Cohen's backup in defense on the stand, do you think? Or no, is that just purely theatrics at play?
I mean, that would just be cherry, you know, on the top of the sundae. I mean, the defense has everything to work with here. How often do you have a star witness who is a convicted felon, an admitted liar? The Congress, the FEC, the multiple media outlets, to the American people. He's changed his story so many times. And for him to come into court and say, well, now I'm telling the truth, or I've been telling the truth the past couple of years before Congress and on social media, that's going to be a tough pill, I think, for the jury to swallow. Obviously, the prosecution is going to want to corroborate that testimony with, you know, other witnesses, other independent evidence. But just relying on Cohen alone is going to be really pushing a boulder uphill for the state. And hopefully he just kind of keeps it in check. They can kind of get past him. And I think, at least according to reports today, he may be the last witness. Then I think the prosecution is going to rest on Thursday. We don't have court on Friday, and we may start hearing defense witnesses as early as next week.
Yeah, and Nima, to that point, Fox has confirmed that the prosecution will rest at Michael Cohen. They won't call anyone else. We'll see if that changes, though, on Thursday when court reconvenes. Though, to your point, though, what we were speaking about yesterday, kind of detailing Cohen's loyalty at the time to then candidate Trump. Of course, he was employed by the Trump organization. And then even some of these conversations in the Oval Office when Trump became president, these conversations were happening in the early days of the Trump presidency. I thought that was somewhat of a useful reminder that these reimbursement conversations were happening in the Oval Office. But so much of the line of questioning and testimony today, Nima, surrounded Cohen's loyalty. It's almost as if every decision he made, he had to ask himself, how does this protect Mr. Trump? In early 2018, Cohen confirmed that he continued to lie about Trump's involvement with Stormy Daniels and the payoffs. He said he did this in order to protect Mr. Trump. Cohen confirmed he did not tell the truth about Trump's role in the payoff or in being repaid. Now, that was not just to the media. That was to the FEC. That was to New York prosecutors at the time. That was, I believe, to special counsel Robert Mueller as well here. He also confirmed making false statements to Congress on the projects regarding Trump Tower Moscow. Number of times spoken to Trump about the project and the time period. And so, it just kind of was a litany of some of these falsehoods Michael Cohen has made in his long and storied career with the Trump organization. But it was all to protect Trump. I mean, that was very, very clear today, was it not?
It was, and Cohen has to have an explanation as to why he's lied so many times. And Andrew, I mean, you went down the list. I mean, there's so many, right? Congress, the federal judges, the prosecutors, the special counsel. And he told this story of someone who was fiercely loyal to the president. Of course, his famous quote was, he would take a bullet for Donald Trump. And he sort of described why things changed. He talked to his wife, and his wife said, why are you so fiercely loyal to him? But of course, the defense is going to spin this in a complete different way and say, this is someone who's a disgruntled former employee, maybe even more akin to a jilted ex, someone who didn't get the job he wanted, didn't get the prestige he wanted, and therefore he's fabricating lies to take down his former employer. So although Cohen, I thought, did a good job trying to explain this shift over the years and why he stopped lying at some point, there's a lot of fodder for the defense here, and they're going to continue to hammer him. I'm surprised if we'll get done by 4 p.m. Eastern on Thursday, because there's just so much more material to go after. But maybe the defense will get done in just a few hours, and we'll wrap this up. But it's not an easy story to sell both the jurors and the American people if you're Michael Cohen.
Just to harp on the point here, though, Nima, I mean, was Todd Blanche's entire job today just to establish that Cohen is not a credible witness, to kind of, sully his reputation? Not that it needs sullying, but to establish that on the stand? Or was it, to present fact patterns in the case? I mean, how does this, prove Donald Trump's innocence with Cohen on the stand today? Was that only Todd Blanche's job? I mean, what does it pertain to the facts of the case?
Well, things like that recording of Karen McDougal, right? We saw the defense get into that and argue that it was doctored. We know the handwritten Alan Weisselberg notes. Those are very important, right? Weisselberg, of course, is another admitted perjurer. He's not testifying. So it's really Cohen that has to establish the calculations, how we got from 130,000 to 420. So there is some important Michael Cohen testimony that the defense is going to have a tougher time. I mean, these are things that are recorded. These are things that are in writing. We've seen some emails between Cohen and different folks, like, Dylan Howard, and communications with Pecker. So, there is evidence that Cohen is bringing in that isn't just his words, right? So the defense does have to poke holes in that documentary evidence in a way that they don't have to with just his, oral testimony.
I see. All right, Nima Rahmani, as always, thanks so much. Great insight, great analysis, and we'll talk soon.
Yes, I'm sure. Thanks, Andrew.